Now can you hear me? There we go. Can you just type in the comment section if you can hear me, please? Testing 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Okay, good. I'll get started in 2 minutes. Right on. Good. Get all your distracting activities out of the way now. Check your last Facebook feeds, emails, all that business, all that monkey business. I'm ready to rock. One more minute. If you need to use the restroom, now is the time to do it. I got about 54 slides to crank through. And I'm going to be moving pretty quick. And remember, this is being recorded, so you will get an email for the recording. So you don't necessarily need to write stuff down while I'm going. But I guess if you want to have your phone, I mean, it'd be totally cool to like take screenshot pictures of the stuff as I'm going along. If you want to get on it right away, that'd be my suggestion. All right, here we go. So full disclosure, this kind of webinar was planned a long time ago, and we started with an office merger today. And so had I known that was going to be happening when it was, this definitely would not be scheduled in the way that it is. So, but it's okay. We are good to go, and we will continue it on here. Strong, but if my voice starts to give way a little bit, well, we'll just have to deal with it. So here we go. All right. So I know there's some of you on here that don't know who I am, which is great if that's the case. So my name is Dr. Greg Barnes, and I'm a Max Living chiropractor in the Triangle area. And I just have a really big passion for health and for healing and doing it the right way. And there is a right way to do it, and helping people just live an amazing lifestyle, not just symptom management or symptom treatment, but really about transforming your life and your lifestyle to a place where your body is extremely efficient at healing. It wants to heal, and that it's going to do that for an incredibly long time. And with heart disease being the #1 cause of death in America. So currently about 50% of people will die of heart disease. So it's the leading cause of death for both men and for women. I mean, I literally couldn't think of a more relevant topic to go over for people that want to live a long, healthy life or not leave their family too soon. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many times on a monthly basis that someone will come into me and I'll see that they're emotionally distraught, and I'll ask them what's going on and be like, oh, well, my brother just passed away of a heart disease or passed away of a stroke or whatever it is. And just like, it just happens so fast. And unlike cancer, for better or for worse, but with cancer, and if it's terminal, you typically have some type of timeline to say goodbye or get your affairs in order. But heart disease or strokes and heart attacks can strike in seconds and just be literally game over. So prevention from that standpoint is, there's just really not much grace in that sense. So it's a huge deal to be looking at. So in terms of heart disease here, there we go. Sorry. It's a general term used to describe several conditions. So things like heart attack, stroke, congestive heart failure, an arrhythmia, right? Anything that would fall like tachycardia or bradycardia or AFib, things like that. So it's any disorder. It's anything that affects the heart's ability to function normally. So I already said it's the leading cause of death, but check this out. The death rate has gone up by 40% in just the last 4 years alone, which is insane. And there we go. Sorry. I don't know what that was. Just a 40% increase in the last 4 years, which is crazy how fast that's going up. And that's despite having the top cardiologists in the world, right? The top cardiac centers, the top cardiac researchers, facilities, the best drugs, all those things. And yet the rates are still skyrocketing. And you can see that the total economic burden of heart disease in the next basically 15 years is going to be well over $1 trillion of cost, which it's just not going to be sustainable. That's going to cripple and bankrupt our country. I mean, it's already beginning to do that and making things just fly out of control from that. But we haven't even scratched the surface, because heart disease is going to skyrocket, cancer is going to skyrocket, diabetes is going to skyrocket, and it's literally going to put our country into the ground economically. Just can't keep up with it. And so, one of the biggest things is to realize that heart disease is happening right now. U.S. News and World Report, in conjunction with Harvard, when they studied children that had died in car accidents and did autopsies on them, found that 25% of kids 5 years and older already had plaque building up in their arteries, which, of course, plaque is one major step in the wrong direction, right, to be getting to having a healthy heart. So it's just moving you towards having a cardiovascular problem. By the time they're teenagers, the number goes up to 60%. And so what does that mean? It's because the kids are eating too much fat? No, they're too inflamed, and it's the other things that they're eating. It's not fat. So you just have to really realize that, listen, you're freaking poisoning your kids, and you are setting them up for failure to die of heart disease if you are not feeding them the right foods and you are not drawing a line in the sand. And so don't think about it from like, oh, they won't get fat from this, or I want to give them a treat. It's like you are literally clogging their arteries with some of the foods that you're eating. So like that is on you, right? And I guess I'm going to be hardcore tonight because I just don't have the energy to not be. But like, listen, that is on you, and you are feeding them crap, and then they develop a heart disease or heart problems at some point down their life. It's on you, because they ultimately don't get to control. You think that they that they control. You think that they have the ability to, like they won't eat that, they won't eat this. It's like, no, they 100%, if they're in your home and you are making food and they rely on you to put food on the table, it is on you. If they don't want to eat what you're eating, then tell them to go get a job and they can go buy whatever meals they want with that food there. But otherwise, it is 100% on you. So the problem is it's already happening to our kids. So of course it's going to happen to our adults. No wonder why it's the leading cause of death. So the myth of heart disease is that it's normal with aging, but it is absolutely common, but that does not mean it's normal. So in our society, we have confused things that are common with being normal. Divorce is common, but is not normal. Being in debt is common, but is not normal. It's not the best way to do that. Being on a lot of medications is common, but it's not normal. And so here's a chart here right off the World Health Organization. you can see that the rates of heart disease or stroke have skyrocketed, coronary heart disease have skyrocketed, other heart disease gone up, right? Stroke gone up, not as much, but it's still going up despite all of that. So the point is we are losing the battle. And I say they in quotes as in, I'm not here to put the blame on doctors or cardiologists because I really don't think it's their fault. They're only allowed to use the tools with which they know. But if we know they're losing and the stats show that they are losing, that we're losing, and it's not like we're losing the game here, we're losing our freaking lives, then why the heck should we be listening to one word that they're saying? Like, football is going on right now. Like, would there make any sense to take the game plan from a coach who is 0-16 in football, right? Like NFL, if they don't win a game, would it make any sense for any other coach or any other team to like, well, let's look and see what that team did last year and adopt that for our team? Or like they may talk a big game and they may whatever, but like their results do not show that their action plan is worth jack squat, right? So I start with this because we have to keep in mind all these little, well, not little, really they're big myths and mistruths and lies that you have been fed one after another in terms of heart disease, what happens, the truth about cholesterol, blood pressure, and all that kind of stuff. Is like, okay, well, maybe you don't want to believe me, even though I'm going to show all the research tonight. Or maybe you're going to like, yeah, but, you're going to say, I agree with everything Dr. Barnes says tonight. Yeah, but, listen, there is no but. The only but is that do you want to prevent heart disease or not? Okay. And so just because a bunch of people believe a lie doesn't mean that it's true. So understanding that within, and I'm going to get a little philosophical here for a second, but going on with this here, I mean, we do have a philosophy in chiropractic that is backed with science and is backed with an art, which is the practice of chiropractic. But there's 33 principles that we have, and it's based on the fundamental premise that the body has its own intelligence, called innate intelligence or inborn. That no matter how old you are, what gender you are, what race you are, if you were born in the 1500s or 1995, whatever it is that every human body has an innate and inborn intelligence that runs and governs it. And one of the principles of that, principle number 25, states that the character of innate forces, the forces of innate intelligence, never injure or destroy the structures in which they work. That is a huge thing that I want you to get, okay? And some of you maybe don't like philosophy, and that's fine. But just if you look at the human body, prove me wrong. I mean, every single time, every single disease process, every single issue that people have is not their body failing it. It's your body working to adapt to the environment with which you do. So this is going to play a huge role, especially in terms of cholesterol. Because if we believe this to be true, and it's a universal truth, it's a universal principle, well, then it makes zero sense that cholesterol would be a substance that is destined to kill you. All right, so here's the true cause of heart disease. Inflammation, all right? Without question, it's inflammation. And I was going to play a bunch of videos on this just to hammer this point home, but it's just, this is what it is, okay? This little picture on the right here shows the process of how that happens. And so what happens is when you damage anything in the body, all right, and we're going to talk about what causes inflammation in a second, it starts to it creates damage, right? And then an inflammatory process begins in that area to heal that area, okay? So think about another more easy way to understand this. If you sprain your ankle, it becomes inflamed. It's not because the sprain of your ankle inflames your joint. It's that your body creates the inflammation to begin the healing process, right? So just like that can happen in your ankle, or if you run into a wall and you get a bruise, right? That's inflammation designed to heal. It's not that the wall creates the bruise. The body creates the bruise in response to the wall. This process begins. So when damage occurs to the lining of our arteries, chemicals are released to initiate the process of inflammation. Arteries constrict, blood becomes more prone to clot, white blood cells are called to the area to gobble up damaged debris, and cells adjacent to those damaged are told to multiply. So they're told to replicate. It's sort of like a failback or a fail-safe system. Ultimately, when this goes on from a chronic, I should really say here, this more technically, this is chronic inflammation, okay? So not just acute, because there's a big difference, because a sprained ankle is acute. This is inflammation that happens day in and day out. But ultimately, scars form, which then we label that as plaque. And then the constriction of our arteries and the thickening of our blood further predispose us to high blood pressure, heart attacks. If you look at this picture here, all right, this one right here on the top, this one right here, or even the one in the middle, which one, in order to get the same amount of, or a normal amount of blood flow through, which heart is going to have to increase its pressure in order to meet the demands of blood in the body? Well, obviously it would be these ones right here, okay? And this would be almost total occlusion. So what is the key to high blood pressure reversal then? Well, it's obviously to control inflammation, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So what causes inflammation? Well, ultimately millions of things, especially in our world and our environment, causes that. But here are the main ones. Blood sugar imbalance, okay? So sugar, okay, or your body's inability to deal with it. Chronic stress, okay, chronic stress creates chronic inflammation. Excess sugar intake, processed foods and all the chemicals within that. Artificial sweeteners, not moving your body, so we get lack of proper blood flow, lack of oxygen to the tissues, so you start getting cell damage and inflammation. Of course, smoking is going to create that, especially for the cardiovascular system. Chronic overconsumption of carbohydrates, environmental, bio, and toxins from food, and then damaging your body, okay? Damaging your spine, specifically interfering with your nervous system, will cause inflammation. If you want to know why, well, you've come into the office, your neck was hurting, you got adjusted, the releasing of the subluxation, the misalignment reduces the inflammation, and it happens sometimes instantaneously or definitely over a couple of months to a couple hours, because the body no longer needed to be inflamed in that area trying to compensate and heal for itself, because we corrected the cause of the problem. So big thing with sugars, grains, refined carbohydrates, right, is that it causes an increase in blood sugar. Okay, and then most carbohydrates and grains are going to turn to sugar within seconds of hitting your body, right? So this happens at a super quick motion. It spikes this, okay? It's going to spike cortisol and insulin. And cortisol and insulin, which are normal hormones and normal chemicals and the biochemicals in the body, but unfortunately, when they're chronically having to be secreted or in extreme amounts, they're going to carry with it some other consequences. One of it is it increases enzyme PLA2, which increases inflammation dramatically, all right? Which PLA2 has been found to be present in 90% of disease processes, okay? Especially heart disease. So meaning when they looked at disease, looked at inflammation, PLA2 enzymes were present at higher levels than normal in anybody that had a disease, or 90% of people that had a disease process. And then it also causes damage to the cell wall, the arteries, leading to the plaque buildup. So it creates major issues. So when it comes to eating, our whole maximized living nutrition plans revolves around eating real food, eating low to no carbohydrates, eating healthy amounts of fat, eating high quality proteins, okay, and just steering clear away from man-made junk, right? Because if man screws everything up, so it's going to screw up your body too. So we'll talk a bit more about nutrition towards the end here. But a lot of you that are on here, the basics of what we teach. So the big thing then is just to make sure that you are actually doing it, right? So listen, there's more on the line other than just feeling good or looking good here. We're talking about the most important organ, I guess the second most important organ of your body. So oxygen and exercise. Listen, the biggest thing with exercise, just freaking move more, all right? Move more than you are right now. Move more than you did last week. There's very few people on this planet, very few people, let's say less than 1%, right, that need to move less than they are, right? Most people are not moving enough. So if you're on this webinar, for the 15 people that are on here right now, I'd say there's a 98% chance that you are not moving as much as you should be with that. So does that mean if you're moving 0 that you need to be moving hardcore and exercise 7 days a week? No, go from 0 to 1 or 0 to 2 days a week. get that down, and then go to 3, 4, 5, right? Don't just think you're going to go from 0 to 100 on this. That's super unrealistic, and you're going to set yourself up for failure. All right, cholesterol. There's very few other topics that get me more fired up than cholesterol, because it's sort of sold as this wonder, well, the drugs, at least, that treat high cholesterol is sort of, served up as this wonder drug. There's no harm in being on it. Just do it. You might as well, or it's a no-brainer. And I mean, it is one of the biggest scams out there. And that's not according to me. That is according to medical research. And I'm going to go through some of it today. But let's break down a little bit about what we understand about cholesterol, what you kind of understand cholesterol as, and then I'm going to actually help you understand what it actually is. So this little diagram is a very basic diagram, it kind of showing the different types of cholesterol. So there is HDLs and there are LDLs. All right. Now, the big thing with this here, and this is, I got to be very careful with this terminology, is because there's really no such thing as good and bad cholesterol, because your body makes both of them. And remember, if we go back to the beginning here, the forces of innate intelligence never injure or destroy the structures in which they work. Now, so LDL is actually not bad. There's nothing bad about cholesterol. It's just something that has really been scapegoated, because when you cause major amounts of damage in your arteries, it's the LDLs that have to go and come to the rescue to basically patch up and clog that damaged tissue. And so, yeah, I mean, LDLs do create blockages in arteries, but it's not because you have too much of it. That's just treating the symptom of that. So, but you can kind of think of as like LDLs coming out of your liver to go into your body, and then HDLs work to promote excretion of lipids and other cholesterol in your blood that is no longer needed to be worked at. So it's a soft, waxy substance. And listen, again, this is huge. Made by your liver. In fact, 80%, and actually a lot of people now think it's as close to 90% of all the cholesterol in your body right now is made by your liver. So if you're like, well, I got high cholesterol. Okay, well then the question you need to ask is, why is your body making that cholesterol? It's not having to do with you eat very little cholesterol in your blood. We're talking less than 10 to 20% comes from diet. So, oh, I can't eat bacon or this steak or this red meat, right, because it's too high, or eggs because they're too high in cholesterol. I mean, it's going to do minimal to actually raise your blood chemistry level, right? Minimal. So the other thing about LDLs here, and HDLs for that matter, is that it's really not even that simple. They are broken down to many different types of subparticles, because there's actually multiple LDL components that are extremely beneficial for the body. So when you suck them out of your body with a statin medication, you are literally getting rid of vital healing factors that your body needs to live and to thrive. So that's why there's actually more in-depth cholesterol panels. One's called an NMR, which we'll talk about later on, that actually gives you a breakdown of the types of cholesterol. So again, whether it's because insurance companies don't cover it, I don't know if that's true, because I don't know, but or doctors are lazy, which I don't know if that's true either, or it doesn't really change anything as far as whether they put you on a medication or not. That's probably mostly true. They don't run these panels, but it really tells you way more about your health than just your total cholesterol, LDL, and HDL, and triglycerides, which doesn't really tell you anything at all, actually. So look at this. Cholesterol needed to manufacture hormones, bile acid, and vitamin D. Your body literally does not make vitamin D without cholesterol. So if you got low levels of vitamin D, maybe start by asking, oh crap, am I on a statin medication? Because remember, vitamin D, having low levels chronically, will kill you faster than cholesterol ever even possibly could. You can't make hormones without cholesterol. Testosterone, so if you're a male and your testosterone is in the toilet right now, not enough cholesterol, your body's not producing enough of it, or you're sucking it out of there for other reasons. Estrogen, menopause, premenopause, if all that's really beating you up, women, it's because you're probably not eating enough fat or you're blocking cholesterol. Cortisol, all these things, okay? So the point is that there's no such thing as bad cholesterol, because if your body makes it, how could it be bad? From either a Christian or an evolutionary perspective, it does not hold up to that litmus test as that being true. I mean, how does it evolutionarily make sense that your body would make something that would be the leading cause of death for a species? Doesn't make any sense. The species wouldn't survive if that was the case. From a creationist standpoint, it's really the same idea. It's like, why would God make something for you to make, your liver, which is a very important organ, just to happen to make one chemical or one, substance that would be the leading cause of death for the species? Doesn't make sense. So cholesterol, remember, is made as a response to healing and inflammation. So if you have high cholesterol, it's not because you're eating too much fat. It's because you have high levels of inflammation in your body, and your body is just doing its darndest to try to help you out with that. All right, big key there. So along with that, to just provide a little bit more clarity, it is the oxidation of cholesterol that causes heart disease. Okay, think of oxidation as like rust, or it's kind of actually a type of inflammation too, a little bit, but it's the breakdown of. Sorry, my phone just rang there. It's then when that cholesterol becomes oxidized that it creates issues in the body. So all that then packed in healing cholesterol compound in your arteries, when they get oxidized, that will cause massive spikes in inflammation and cause that process I showed you earlier with the little pictures. So more people, okay, so double, and this is according to Yale research that they did, people are twice as likely to have heart attacks with low cholesterol than elevated. Lancet, which is another medical journal, their conclusive look at research, a systematic review, found that people have a higher death rate of heart disease with low cholesterol, actually all disease, with low cholesterol versus high. Statin medications have been shown to lower cholesterol, but not the mortality of heart attack and stroke. All right, we can go back to this chart right here. Clearly, it's doing nothing. We are the most statin medicated people on the planet, and we have the highest rates of heart disease. They are the most profitable class of drug ever in the history, because they put anybody and everybody on them. All right. So the amount of quote research and marketing is heavily directed, obviously, to making sure that those profits stay up and keeping going up. All right. So remember, it's the body's repair substance. The more inflamed you are, the more your liver has to produce cholesterol to repair the damage that you are doing to it. And that's very key. Here's another World Health Organization chart showing cholesterol levels along the bottom. Causes of death. Here's the study. Actually, you can see there's a downward trend in the mortality rates. So meaning the people over here that had the higher rates of cholesterol, okay, you can see there's a downward trend line there. So the higher rates of cholesterol, the less likely the chance they had of dying. Boom. Like if that doesn't prove it right there, we could literally just be done right now. But I won't. I'll keep going. Liver damage these things cause, right? Because if you're chemically manipulating your liver to stop producing cholesterol, how would that not cause issues? Neuropathy, because if you can't heal, well, then nerves break down. Major joint pain, ligament ruptures, okay, because it causes damage to the connective tissue called rhabdomyolysis, which is another term for muscle wasting, atrophy there. Your chance of diabetes goes up. Heart failure, because it damages muscles, right? Muscle wasting. What's the most important muscle in your body? Everybody say it. Heart. Cholesterol at higher levels protects against cancer, which is probably one of the reasons why you see this downward trend right here. And then because the majority of cholesterol is stored in your brain, when you just suck it out there, remember, it doesn't know, can't target and just get it out of your blood vessels. And listen, why would you want it? If you have little like plugs holding your boat afloat, okay, why would you want to go rip out the things that like the duct tape that's keeping your boat from sinking, right? you're talking about you're ripping out cholesterol out of healed areas. It's like ripping off scars. It's just going to start leaking again, or scabs, right? It's just going to start leaking again. They're there to prevent damage, further damage. So what they do, here's how they work. They inhibit a vital enzyme that manufactures cholesterol in the liver, all right? It also blocks CoQ10, all right? Remember, 60% of your brain is made up of fat, which is cholesterol. So no wonder why we are seeing major increases in Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, anxiety, and at rates we've never seen before, because, well, if your brain can't function and work the way that it's supposed to, well, then of course it's going to break down faster, right? And give you problems. CoQ10. So this is majorly inhibited when you, in fact, it like shuts the production almost down to zero. When you're taking statin medications, it shuts it down. So CoQ10 is one of the most important antioxidants that we know about. It's one of them, and it's actually most prevalently found in the heart. So think about this, and most needed for the heart. So you're shutting down CoQ10. Your heart needs CoQ10 to beat day in and day out, 24/7 for your entire life. No wonder why heart rates, heart disease rates, heart attacks go up when people take cholesterol medications long term. So, I mean, listen, if you're still taking statin medications and you're not going to listen to me, not that I'm telling you to get off them, just for the record, disclaimer, right? But you got to make your own judgment call based on the research here. So if you're going to keep taking it, you better be supplementing CoQ10. I mean, like, you're just asking for a double whammy. If you were on it but are not, no doubt you need to be on CoQ10 anyways, because there's no way your body's caught up by now. It takes years and years and years and years and years. So you need to be supplementing CoQ10 if you are on or were ever on a statin medication. And in fact, I take, because of how important it is for the heart, I take CoQ10 every single day. It's one of my top 3 supplements. So look at this. This is from the Journal of Atherosclerosis, 2012. Statin use and coronary artery plaque composition. So looking at an international multi-center registry. So lots and lots and lots of people. Conclusion: statin use is associated with an increased prevalence and extent of coronary plaques possessing calcium. So literally, it causes arteries to clog up more with calcium blockages, hard calcium blockages. Here's another one, WebMD. Statins raise blood sugar. People taking Lipitor had a 22% higher risk of new diabetes. Crestor 18%, Zocor 10%. Reuters, Medscape, Oxford, 2011. Artificially lowered cholesterol. So obviously they're talking about a drug there. Lowered cholesterol was linked with a 33 to 50% increased risk of all types of cancer. So here's some questions to start asking yourself. Did any of my parents or aunts or uncles or spouses that died of cancer or got diabetes, were they on a statin medication as well? And could that have contributed to their potentially untimely demise, right? Or suffering? Do statins prevent or promote cancer? This is the oncology journal, Current Oncology. In conclusion, we feel that there is ample evidence that statins may promote cancer in certain segments of the population. So should I lower my cholesterol? Every symptom is the body doing the right thing at the right time. Ron Rosedale, an MD. In other words, it has never been conclusively, and that's the key word, shown that lowering cholesterol saves lives. In fact, several large studies have shown that lowering cholesterol into the range of currently recommended is correlated with an increased risk of death, especially of cancer. Research out of the UK, 114 patients with heart problems who began taking cholesterol-lowering drugs, that found that every point of decrease of serum cholesterol, there was a 36% chance or increased risk of death. So think about what that means. If they brought a person from 215 down to 210, that was a, my math is bad, hold on, 150 to 20, 30, 150, 180% increased risk of death, right? You get the point. 3%, 3-point drop, 100% risk of death increase. Insane. This now, triglycerides, this is a chemistry marker, a blood chemistry marker you need to pay attention to. Far more important than your stupid cholesterol, your cholesterol number. And the key is this, because it can give you a lot of indication about how well your body is working metabolically. If you are above 100 on your triglycerides, you are likely insulin resistant. And I'd say pretty much for sure insulin resistant, which means you're eating too much sugar, too much carbohydrates. And for a lot of people, it can be too much fruit. Okay, that can really, fructose is processed in the liver differently. Fructose can really spike triglycerides. So when we're done with this, or, because don't do it right now, but just write down triglycerides, right? If you're taking notes, what's my number? Or call your doctor, your last time you got blood work, figure out what your number is. And more than anything, you need to put together a plan of how am I going to tackle this? And it also does play into a role with a very important ratio that we look at. And it's your triglyceride to HDL ratio. So what we want is we want to see a 2-to-1 ratio. So for example, a good ratio would be 80 triglycerides to 40 HDL. Okay. If your triglycerides are 160 and your HDL is, let's say, 30, that's bad because your ratio is about 5-to-1. And if your triglycerides were like 200 and your HDL was like 25, that's like 8. That's way too high. It's really bad. Way too bad. Okay, super bad. And also, it means your chance of developing diabetes is super high. Another one that we run that's super important is your HDL to total cholesterol number. So remember, it's not these individual numbers by themselves, it's the ratio they create. So in this example, 70, I think this is mine if I remember right. This is a while I put this together. 70 was my HDL, 210 was my total, so that was 0.33. Anything above 0.24 is going to be fantastic, okay? So meaning like if my, let's say my HDL was like 35, all right? Let me just do the quick math on that real quick. Then my ratio is going to be like 0.16, okay? So that's below 0.24. That means I'm in trouble, okay? So hopefully everybody got that. So remember, there's the HDL. How you do this, you take your triglyceride number and divide it by your HDL, and then it's going to give you a number, all right? And we want that to be around 2 or less than 2. The other one is your HDL divided by your total cholesterol, and we want that to be above 0.24. Huge, okay? So those are the ones you want to be looking at. If those are off, then we do something, all right? Then we put together a specific plan. So here's another research article. Although some lipid variables were associated with the extent of coronary disease, the ratio of triglycerides to HDL cholesterol showed the strongest association. Keyword strongest. We don't give a crap about weak association or pharmaceutically manipulated data, all right? We're talking about the strongest link. So some of the best ways to help blood chemistry, especially lipid blood chemistry, is to be consuming regular amounts of fish oil, omega-3, the proper ratios of omega-3 to omega-6s. I take this almost every single day. I'd say at least 3 to 4 times a week, optimal omega. It helps to keep your omega-3 to omega-6 ratios intact. Most people are deficient in omega-3s though, so you guys would take something called Pro Omega, which is a only omega-3 formula. The reason why that's important is that it helps to balance out blood chemistry levels, it helps to reduce inflammation. That's why fish oil is so good, or at least high quality fish oil is so good for the heart, is because it reduces inflammation dramatically, okay? It also helps to thin the blood, so if you do have some inflammation and damage going on already, it's going to help things flow a lot easier and give your body a chance to de-inflame so then it can heal. So I will be mentioning a few other products here too in a few minutes. So I just plop this down here real fast. So you can take a screenshot of this here if you don't want to mess with this right now. But obviously, for those of you that are my patients, I mean, you can get any of these things I'm going to talk about in the office. But if you're not local, I have a couple of different ways you can order products. If you go to greenwayhealth.ehealth.pro or ehealthpro.com, you'll find my online website. And if you type in first, and that's actually, there's no space here, first 20 like this, okay? You'll get 20% off your first order, and you also get free shipping. Or you can do it on Amazon Prime or Amazon. So if you go to amazon.com/shop/DFH select and you type in this code right here, DFH48699, that's my code, you're going to get 15% off your order for that, and you'll get free Prime shipping too. So you can literally order it when we're tonight, where we're talking, and get it by Wednesday, which is kind of cool too. The shipping on this one doesn't happen as fast. And also for in-office, any of the products that I mentioned, so like CoQ10, Omega, when you're in the office next, if you just mention that you were on the Heart Health webinar, we'll know that those items will be eligible. You'll get a 15% discount off of that. So I always like to reward people for taking time out of your schedule. And I know as I go over some really relevant things for people that are on here, again, if you're tuning in, I'm sure heart is a big importance for you. I want to just, be able to pass out, some thanks and gratitude on to you for your time. And you can mention that in the office and get 15% off anything in the office as well. All right, silent killer, blood pressure. All right. Sorry about the formatting. This webinar kind of made it a little bit goofy here. So there's 3 stages of high blood pressure, right? We got stage 1, which is going to be anything 130 to 140 over 80 to 90. Stage 2, you're above 140 and above 90. Stage 3, this is like stroke level right here. Bad news if you're 180 over 120, okay? So there's a lot of people that are in this phase right here, stage 1, okay? A lot of people. And, that if you don't correct it in stage 1 and you don't get your inflammation under control, obviously you're going to move to stage 2. So remember, this is a warning sign. Going back to the very beginning here, right? Which heart is going to have to increase its pressure and work harder to get through there? And again, think about how smart your body is. I don't want to berate this point, but you got to get and start thinking about this stuff, right? If this artery right here, okay, this one in the middle, is the artery that supplies your stomach or your kidney or whatever muscle that you have, okay? So the flow is obviously constricted. Your organ is requiring its usual demands of blood in order to get oxygen and thrive. Why would it not make sense for your heart to increase its pressure to be able to, it's just wanting to meet the demands of your body, right? It would be like if you stepped on your garden hose and you're not getting as much flow out of there, well, you could either figure out a way to increase the pressure or you could unkink the dang hose, right? So again, high blood pressure is your body doing the right thing at the right time for the right reason, and it's your fault, okay? It's your fault. So the thickening of the blood is caused by platelets in the blood, okay, from inflammation, clumping together, trying to heal those damaged arteries, okay? And you get this plaque buildup, which then is going to increase the problem. So, of course, in our country, and then the solution is, well, let me just get on a high blood pressure medication, as if it's, again, sort of this benign, non-damaging, it's safe medication. Well, look at this. So here are the side effects, just the most common ones. Extra urination, erection problems, ED in men, right? Because it's going to then weaken the blood pressure, which you need, of course, blood flow right to your reproductive organs, which is why then it creates erection problems. Weakness, leg cramps, fatigue. Diuretics are going to deplete minerals. Increases gout, which is rare, but it can increase gout. Breathing issues. All the vessels going to your lungs begin to suffer. Circulation issues. Depression, insomnia, sleep, dry hacking cough, okay? That doesn't go away. Skin rash, constipation, dizziness, headache, irregular or very rapid heartbeat, palpitations, swollen ankles, okay? Just insane stuff here. And on top of that, again, this is Medscape Oncology, some blood pressure medications linked to breast cancer. The first, I'm going to blow this up a little bit, the first observational study of long-term hypertensives, right? Because of course, drug studies, when they are drug companies, when they're studying these medications, they look at it for like a month, maybe 2, usually not, okay? I actually, when I was in undergrad, I needed money, and so I participated in a blood pressure drug study, which is, I can't believe I did it now knowing what I know. And they tested our blood for a month. All right, and that's it. And then we knew it. And then I of course, didn't know the name of the drug, but I did know that it did get published. Okay, so they looked at our blood and what happened to us over the course of 1 month. It was easy money, but it probably took a couple of years off my life. But look at this, long term. So when they looked at it long term, 2-fold increase risk of breast cancer, which is crazy, okay? So women who had taken calcium channel blockers for 10 years or more had double the risk of IDC and ILC. And again, oh, you just take these, don't worry, right? Guarantee nobody ever, no woman ever got told the side effects that it could double their risk of cancer. And think about it, blood pressure medication. If you get put on it and you don't do anything to change your lifestyle, because a medication is absolutely a prescription to not change your lifestyle, right? Well, my blood pressure is lower now, I guess I'm good. I mean, who goes on blood pressure medication and then just magically gets off of it 5 months later? No, I mean, people, you're on it for the rest of your life, and your need for it is going to increase, because assuming you don't get to the cause of why you needed blood pressure in the high blood pressure medication, lowering medication in the first place, well, and of course, it's just going to get worse, become more systemic. So here are some natural ways to help with lowering. So these are causational, right? These are not just even symptom treatment, okay? So number one, if a lot of times people are on a water pill, all right, that's what they're commonly called, which is basically a natural diuretic. It's just helping to flush excess fluid out of your body. Instead of taking a chemical to force that out of your body naturally, there's a supplement called, Water Ease, that's made by Designs for Health, and it has B6 and pyroxidine in there. And I mean, I've seen people with blood pressure, again, if you're on a water pill, this for many people can replace the need for taking that medication. And just by getting off one medication, that can make a whole host of improvements in your body. L-arginine is an amino acid, helps your body produce many things, but one of them being nitric oxide. And nitric oxide helps to relax and dilate arteries and capillaries. So remember, dilate means to open up. Well, obviously, if you have high blood pressure, you want your blood vessels to open up as much as possible. Okay, so L-arginine can help with that. HTN complex. This is like a formula, if you will, of a bunch of different things that are in that. So in HTN complex, there's magnesium, pomegranate, which helps to clean out arteries, actually, hawthorn, folate, B6. So it's got a little bit of that water removal in through there. So it's a good formula for lowering blood pressure pretty easily. So again, getting to the root cause of why you're having that. CoQ10, 100%, especially if your heart has been working overtime, pumping harder with increased pressure. Okay. You need to be supplying with CoQ10 to make up that. Exercise lowers because it strengthens your heart and dilates blood vessels, because actually exercise produces nitric oxide. Chiropractic adjustments absolutely help with that. More on that in a second. Magnesium is very relaxing for the heart and for the arteries. And then turmeric, of course, which is a good natural anti-inflammatory, helps with inflammation. So Daily Defense is the form of turmeric that we love. I took some today. And we also have another turmeric in our office from Dr. Axe. They're slightly different overall purposes, but ultimately very similar too. So if you're not sure which one you should be taking, you can ask me and I'll help you based on your specific circumstance. Magnesium, I know a lot of you are big fans of magnesium and already on that. Just know there is a massive correlation for low levels of magnesium and cardiovascular health. So absolutely need to be magnesium every single day, every single night. I'll be taking some in about an hour, hour and a half. So again, as I mentioned a few of these here, you can get them 15% off in the office if you just mention that you're on the webinar, or order off my website. And I'm going to drop these links here in actually in the comments section right now. And I think that'll help if you're trying to just directly access it. Let's see if that shows up. There we go. Now you kind of you can copy and paste there for that. Okay, let's keep going. So again, going back to chiropractic adjustments, we did a video on this. Dr. V and I in the office did a video on this about a month or 2 months ago, showing research that correction of the top, or improvement of the alignment of the top bone in the neck, which is called the atlas, reduced blood pressure. So after 8 weeks of people getting this worked on, which by the way, if you do have this misaligned, we are aware when we do work on it, it lowered blood pressure in some cases by like 20 points, which is cool. And that actually did better than the medication did. And of course, it has no side effects other than improved health. Of course, we can't do a topic on disease or health without mentioning vitamin D. And again, just major link to morbidity and mortality related to cardiovascular disease. So vitamin D have major amounts of receptors on cardiomyocytes, which are cardio muscle cells, smooth muscle cells, and endothelial cells, which are in the blood vessels and help with inflammation and that process that I showed earlier. So low levels of vitamin D is going to make you more susceptible to having that inflammatory process inside of your body. Low vitamin D linked to more severe stroke, poor outcomes. Okay, if you're below 30, they're twice as likely to have damage from a stroke, and in some cases 3 times. Okay, it's also linked with blood pressure. So vitamin D has been shown to lower blood pressure. What do they say here? 10%. For each 10% increase in vitamin D levels, there was an 8% decrease in the risk of developing high blood pressure. That's pretty bang for your buck if you ask me. So vitamin D is a must-have. Again, I realize probably the majority of you on here are taking this, but if you're not, this is just another reason why to remind you of how important it is to take it every single day and to know your number. All right, know your number. Harvard studies found that low vitamin D levels correlated to an increased risk, which is 200% of developing a heart attack. Vitamin D, every day, every day, every day. So CoQ10, as I mentioned before, is a super antioxidant, most specifically for the heart. So it's the most important one for the heart. Highest amounts of CoQ10 are found in the heart. And again, think about CoQ10 as also a power regulator, a power generator. Your body does not produce energy or ATP without CoQ10. So people that have had major heart issues in the past, they found that supplementation can actually reduce major adverse cardio. So it can essentially help repair a lot of the damage, okay? And then remember, statins block production, leading to an increased risk of death, okay? So this is the one we get. This is the one that you can order off of Designs for Health, coquinol, that's 50 milligrams. The one we have in our office is this one here from Maximize Living, which is 50 milligrams as well. It's just a slightly different formula, but same benefits and same outcomes. Okay, same improvement. So vitamin C here, huge with this here too, especially from the relationship with collagen. So Dr. Linus Pauling was a chemist and biochemist, and he actually won look at this. He's the only person ever in the history of science to be awarded 2 unshared Nobel Prizes, which is like, he puts him in the smartest person in the world in some areas, okay, ever. He found the link between collagen inflammation and the necessity of vitamin C in heart disease, preventing and reversal. So people with high blood pressure issue, with inflammation, with knowing there's major heart issues going on, vitamin C is a major repair substance for that, because all of your blood vessels are made out of collagen, and vitamin C is required for the necessary production of collagen. It also helps keeping cholesterol in your blood from oxidizing, so it kind of works as a buffer in that oxidation process. And not having it is, of course, linked to high blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and stroke. So I recommend 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams, okay, I don't know why it says pound per day. Okay, so this is like 2 grams or 2 to 4 grams per day, and this is the one that we use now, which I think tastes awesome. So it's got a nice little orange flavor with stevia in there, and so this would be 1 dose of this per day. All right, for that. All right, let's go into blood tests. And I know I got a couple questions coming in here, so I will answer those here in a minute. So CRP, C-reactive protein, major indicator of your risk for having a future cardiovascular event, and actually really a near future. Okay, so this is one that you should be getting run every single time. BNP, another inflammation marker for the cardiovascular system. Triglycerides, we talked about that earlier. Fibrinogen is a kind of a reflection, simply stated, with your blood vessel health. Homocysteine, another major inflammatory marker. If there's a buildup in that, your chance of a heart attack goes sky high. If uric acid is elevated in your blood, it can mean muscle tissue is dying, all right? Which, of course, if that means it's your heart, that is game over. MTHFR genotyping. If you have the MTHFR gene, that's huge to be able to know, because it means your body is more likely to produce homocysteine, which will radically skyrocket inflammation. A lot of people have that and they don't know it. Vitamin E, which is the technical term is gamma tocopherol. Here's that thing I was talking about before. It's called an NMR cholesterol profile. So if you really want to know what your cholesterol breakdown is, you request an NMR cholesterol profile. Huge, because that can actually tell us more about, which is called, sorry, I was just double checking the acronym, nuclear magnetic resonance. So it gives a much more detailed breakdown than just, LDL. It's actually not that expensive either, from what I remember, if your doctor is annoying and won't run it for you, but it's not that expensive to see that. So a good marker, good measurement of your inflammation, right? Because if you have high amounts of the inflammatory LDL particles, because I think there's like 7 or 8, at least that we know about, different subtypes of LDL, it could be a big mark of that. So remember, I said before that PLA2 enzyme, remember 90% of disease, this has been found to be shown in. Of course, knowing vitamin D3, you should be getting that tested minimum once a year. Really, you should be doing it twice a year. I think you should be doing it after summer and after winter. So basically in the fall and the spring, because if you're likely to go high in vitamin D, it's going to happen during the summer. And if you're going to be extra low in vitamin D, it's going to happen after the winter. And then just, looking at your kidneys too. So BUN, creatinine, GFR rates. I mean, kidneys are very intimately related with blood pressure and heart health. So you want to just make sure those are pretty standard to be running in every CBC. And then here's a few other ones here. A1, apolipoprotein, little a. There's a bunch of little ones in through here that are a lot of more genetic markers. So if you are convinced you have a genetic predisposition, well, don't be convinced unless you actually get the genetic markers tested. So don't let some doctors sell you on a bunch of crap that they can't back up with testing. So just because your dad had heart disease doesn't mean you're going to get heart disease. That's just a bunch of crap. It means that they probably, if you get heart disease, it's probably because you live the same lifestyle for that. Now, for us to do customized blood work, of course it varies. So I'd like to give people a ballpark. If you want to run a Mac Daddy lab profile, I can usually, 800s, I'd even say high. That would be like super Mac Daddy. And that would be like, hey, I want to look at stuff more than just heart. If you like want to know cancer markers and hormone levels, we can do like the whole shebang for usually less than $800. If you just want like a good basic and yet in-depth profile, those usually start around 90. So I'm just gonna pull this up here real fast. I think for let me just double check on what that is here. Yeah, like we can do CRP, NMR, cholesterol profile, hemoglobin, A1C, sugar, insulin, all that kind of stuff for like $120, which is pretty cheap, especially because you don't have to go to a doctor, so you're not paying any copay. When you do it through me, you just go straight to LabCorp. I print out a sheet for you, and then you just bring it to LabCorp. They don't ask you any questions. They draw your blood. They send me the results. You go over it. We fix whatever we got to fix. All right? We fix whatever we got to fix. So it's a huge range there, but if you're somebody that's like, oh, I'd be interested in doing blood work, I mean, it depends on what your goals are. So I can only tell you what it would cost if I knew exactly what you want to get done, or at least where you'd want to start from that. And honestly, I make very little off blood work. I give you pretty much my cost on that, plus a little bit of time, because obviously analyzing blood work takes a ton of time out of my schedule. And so it's not profitable time, but I do it for my existing patients, because you just don't get any information from your doctors other than, oh, you have high cholesterol. And it's like, well, that doesn't help at all. So I just try to do it as a value-added service for you guys as my patients, to make sure that you're doing everything you possibly can, or at least everything you're concerned about, preventative-wise, especially to stay healthy. For nutrition, I mean, I could have spent a ton of time on this, but in literally 2 weeks from tonight, I'm doing a nutrition 101. I'm calling it Back to the Basics of Weight Loss and Inflammation. So it's going to be a variation of a talk that I used to do monthly, but I've really updated a lot of this stuff. A lot of it's based around gut health and fixing your gut, because if you can fix your gut and the bacteria makeup in your gut, I mean, weight will fall off, inflammation will plummet downwards. And so we're going to be going over some specifics. So even though I won't really directly be talking about the heart that night, it's all the same stuff that if you want to improve your heart health, you would do these same things, and you're just going to happen to lose weight and get less inflammation in your body at the same time. So that seminar is going to be in 2 weeks. It's at the office, okay? And let me just post this link here for you. You can go in and register for that right now. And I think they got like 35 spots left for that. So you can get, and now if you just need a refresher, that's why it's called Back to the Basics. It's not going to be this insanely high level stuff. It's just going to be, you're going to walk away with 3 to 5 really easy things for you to change, okay, and get back on track. So again, it's a free seminar, and I hope you'll come and join me at that, especially to be a great follow-up for tonight's workshop. So I'm going to answer a couple questions right now. Go ahead and type in if you have more questions. So first question is from Joe. If your body is making the LDL, why would it make too much and make it high? Because it's producing exactly as much inflammation or as much LDL as it needs to in response to the inflammation. So more inflammation, more LDL. It's really as simple as that. So it keeps going higher and higher and higher because it's trying to continually respond to the inflammation levels in your body. Great question. Great question. Are there any other questions? You can always email me at my email if you want it to be private, although I don't know if all this stuff gets posted or not. So in quick summary, your body does not destroy itself. It will just do whatever it can to adapt to the environment that you create. It does not hate you. Well, it might hate you because of what you're doing to it, but it does not hate you and try to just destroy you unnecessarily, all right? CoQ10 is a big one for heart health, magnesium, vitamin D, vitamin C, healthy fish oils, right? Stuff that we mentioned. And then, of course, doing anything and everything to eliminate, or you can't eliminate, but lower and limit the amount of inflammation inside of your body, which will ultimately not only help your heart health, but lower your chances of all types of disease for that matter. So hope this was good. If you want to go back and watch this, or if you're like, man, my brother needs to see this, or my uncle, or whatever it is, you're going to get an email, I believe tonight, if not by tomorrow morning at the latest. You can forward them that email and they will be able to watch this replay. Or if you get into a conversation with somebody and you're like, I don't know, I can't explain it as good as Dr. Barnes did, just be like, hold on, let me send you an email tonight, and you can forward this link and they'll be able to go back and watch this as I just did it like this. So if you're watching this as a recording, hello, I'm sorry you missed this live, but hope you enjoyed it. So that's it. Hope everybody has a great night. Thanks for tuning in here. And I really appreciate this. If these webinars have been great, and I know I haven't done one in a while, but if you like this format, I would love feedback on it, because I'm really thinking I'd like to do it more, because I can do it from my house in pajamas. And so it's just a lot less energy for me to expend in that way. But I'd love to keep doing them. I'm planning on maybe doing a hormone one in like November or December. So just let me know if you love them. You can send me an email, whatever it is, or Facebook message. I'd love just to hear that it impacted you or was well received. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night.